Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again, back with another spicy fisting build. This time around it is Doryani's Fist and it is Ignite. I've tried this one maybe once before, I think. Maybe twice, I don't know. But there are more tools in the game for an Ignite Doryani Fist to work these days. It is based off the Doryani Fist Unique, which lets you have the Touch of God skill enabled, and as you can see with Fist of War it turns it kind of big, red and electrical, and that means you have a lot of lightning damage to start with. You use a stormfire at level 80, that lets your lightning damage go into Ignite, and then from there on out you try and do some other things. Currently war cries are pretty damn good for this sort of scaling as well, but on this edition of the build I've tried to make a mana stack to benefit from some of the added lightning of Arcane Cloak and Mind of the Council. Those two items roughly double my lightning damage at the moment, or the item and the gem, roughly double my damage at the moment, and then you got a lot of extra huge scalings coming in from Zerker with the 40% more, 50% more after exerting exerts after using a war cry. Then you got your seismic cry going off at the 5th stack. There's just a lot of more scaling going on here, and at the moment I'm at something like 2 million Ignite DPS, which is pretty damn good. It's not anything huge for DPS, but Ignite DPS is pretty hard to come by typically, so it's never going to look that big anyway. So far, it's been just fisting up a dream for all content I'm doing. I've been running a couple of double beyond maps here or there. These bosses just get completely shit on. The really important thing is to get some unwavering stance so that we're stun immune, because the wind up will eventually just get you killed, since sometimes you get stunned out of your attack, but unwavering stance is pretty damn close for us anyway, so that's not really a big deal. Ideally we'd get a lot more mana so that you can actually make bigger use of Arcane Cloak and Mind of the Council, but I'm struggling to pull out more than about 3,500 to 4,000 mana at the moment, though I'm still looking into potentially getting more. And you could always go from a completely different perspective like a Hierophant and actually do lots and lots of mana stack, but you won't have the more multipliers from Berserker, and it's a little bit questionable, but we can look into it by the end of the character. It seems like it should hold up decently well, but the big problem will be getting off that one big fist, because there is a bit of a wind up. You do have to really care about the seismic cry last sort of exert for maximum damage, and then occasionally elemental overload won't quite be up all of the time on some bosses and stuff, because it's a bit RNG. Got to drop out Orb of Storms, just hope it crits, and then get that huge more multiplier in, and sometimes it's just not quite there. This is an example of some double beyond, and the bosses just like immediately evaporate as they spawn, which is always really fun to see. Basically, as soon as I make an Ignite build, I'm just really dying to do some double beyond maps, because they feel so goddamn good, just shitting on the bosses and watching your burn proliferate and melt the entire screen. Yeah, that's why I kind of like Burning Arrow a lot, and that's why some of these Doryani Fist builds do end up getting played by me fairly often, I guess, to attempt a little bit, or rather just some Stormfire builds. I do end up making a few of them here or there, maybe one every couple of leagues, since the burn is really quite satisfying. I think Doryani's Fist itself, though, not quite sure. It might be still better as a pure attack, just big slam, similar to the way I built like the Ice Crash at the end of last league, just big meaty one-shots. Especially with Replica Business in the game right now, I think you could actually pull out some, 10, 20 million one-taps pretty comfortably with that. But so far so good on this one. You can see the burn damage going to town. Just going to be a question of whether or not it can hold up for the end game, because things do get quite a lot thicker, and Ignite damage does start to fall off in endgame typically. So far so good. Let's get into how I've built the character so far. Here is the character so far, level 85, it burns when I fist, pretty self-explanatory, and haven't really put together a microtransaction setup for him just yet, just bit of leveling stuff, but still looks pretty clean for the moment. And like I said, based around Doryani Fist, a lot of lightning damage when unarmed, and then you get the Doryani Touch skill. It has a huge amount of extra damage effectiveness off of lightning, or off of added damage. So I think it's something like 600% that gives you, yeah, can't see it here, it's going to be in the wiki, but yeah, 600% I do believe is the damage effectiveness. So that lightning or any added damage you get is extremely valuable to this sort of a skill. And as you can see, it's just got 4 sockets here: currently Awakened Burning, Deadly Ailments, Fist of War, and Early Damage with Attacks. And traditionally it's always just looked like this without Fist of War, but now that Fist of War is in the game, which is pretty damn cool, it's a huge more multiplier for our ailments and all that. It actually has a pretty damn cool effect as well, as soon as we get it on. There we go. So been thoroughly enjoying that one as one of the new additions to the build. We'll even go really big with it. This would be the biggest that I can possibly get it at the moment, and that's just off of Seismic Cry and Fist of War. So no other area scaling, pretty much no other area scaling on the build, and those two things can get you some serious area in most builds. So that's what we're based around. And then of course Stormfire, which gives you Lightning Ignite. I did level as Face Breakers with Ice Crash, and then tried to turn that into Ignite as well by using a 3 dragons so that your cold damage can ignite. And then as soon as I got this on, I grabbed 2 Call of the Brotherhoods so that my lightning went into cold, and then with 3 dragons once again, I went from 63 to 80 as a sort of a little bit of a scuffed version of the build. But leveling it, just Ice Crash and Face Breakers is pretty damn smooth. Probably forget about the Ignite with the Face Breakers, just do on-hit damage and it's all good. And then at 63, jump into Doryani Fist and start burning things with the Call of the Brotherhood 3 Dragons combo. As soon as you get Stormfire, you can chuck on things like Mind of the Council, which gives you 6% of your mana, of your max mana as added lightning. And then the other big thing is Arcane Cloak. You can see we get about 50% more of our damage at the moment from pressing Arcane Cloak. So it's one of our cooldowns we press, sometimes defensively, but sometimes offensively as well. And then that just gives us damage all the time. And then we try and just get a bit of mana from the rest of our gear as much as we can. Not very easy to do, so a little bit of int there, a little bit of mana crafted on that. Percent mana necklace with some mana there. Replica combs, that's where the largest chunk of our mana is coming from. I think it was like 5C, so why the hell not? It's a little bit uncomfortable not being able to get any more sockets in here, but we're managing. I don't think I really need any more at the moment. So up here I've got Arcane Cloak, Orb of Storms, Combustion, and Increased Crit. So Orb of Storms is placed every now and again so that it procs Elemental Overload and also combusts enemies with that extra minus fire as Ignite. Down here we got Second Wind, Dash, Seismic Cry, and Enduring Cry. So that's Enduring Cry. We need to press that twice to get up to 40 rage, a third time, and that gives us Warbringer. That's where we get all of our rage from, and that's how we also get the more multiplier. So the actual setup can be a little uncomfortable because you need to do this, you need to attack a few times so that you're down to the 1. We then have this much rage. Let's just say we get down to 24, pop it once more, and then when we're ready to attack, we hit that, you got your Exert right there, you pop your Arcane Cloak and you give him the big freaking fisting. And, you know, it's not too bad to set up if you're not under the pump, but if you're actually fighting several enemies, several bosses or some shit, then it might get a little messy. So we'll see how it holds up in plenty of endgame, but it might be a little tough with some phases and different bosses like that. And then down here we've got a Shield Charge, Fortify, and a Faster Attacks. Currently, this is all I've got for Ascendancies, just the 40% more, the 50% more, and some Leech. The others don't really do too much, so I might still go out and get this one just to sustain Rage a little bit easier, but it hardly does anything. So the Uber Lab doesn't do much for us at the moment. Passive tree goes down to the duelist, gets some crap. We anoint this just with like a 5C talisman that we bought for Measured Fury. Pick up some Warcry nodes. This is our stun immunity. Get some life, get some mana, life mana, elemental equilibrium, which is always going to be up pretty much since we hit with lightning and want to burn with fire, so that's completely fine. And then elemental overload. Over here, mana, fire, getting that fire. Got one cluster jewel. Cluster jewel for large isn't very good. The only one that I could have thought of was lucky non-crits as lightning. Supposedly that doesn't work because ignite non-crit isn't the same as just like a regular hit and igniting. That's what I've been told, so makes kind of sense, and that's why we're not using it. Otherwise, just got a fire one that does burning bright and smoking remains, and it's an inefficient one at that. They're expensive otherwise, didn't want to put any real money into this thing. And then a couple of medium clusters that have cooked alive and fan the flames, so that's where we get our prolift from. But until that, I did use ignite prolift in the main setup, and then the Warcry cluster that just gives us Warcry have minimum 10 power, so that's how we can actually stack our power rage a bit easier. And then this does currently onslaught. We'll probably get some smalls for mana or something like that. That's how we stack the rage, and that's how we consume the rage as well. That's it for now. Hopefully it holds up, but thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.